So I'm going to try to keep this as short and as light as possible because it's pretty depressing. This is the Spark Note edition of my book Vision. So it's a personal dive into my person and some of the things that I've written to myself over the past 2 years. These past 2 years have been pretty tough on me. I've had to deal with change, delusions, and decisions that decide the direction of my destiny. So to keep it short, on January 1st, 2016, I spiraled into a manic episode, and on January 11th, I was released from an inpatient facility after coming down. But I was never the same. When it came out, my views on life and my reality had changed, and this was the start to a new chapter of hardships, adjustments, and just trying to put me back together. To say the least, it was a rough 7 days. Mania's a fucking bitch. You see, it's like having a new set of eyes to view the world with, but everything is completely different. Your brain is completely doped up, and you think that the fantastical wonders of the world can be true. You think that magic can exist. You think that you can talk to people inside your own head. But more importantly, you figure out the ability to be happy, truly happy, and being ready to run to that happiness in literally one day. And I feel like we all want to have that feeling because most of the time we feel uncertain about the choices we have to make. We want to stay in the fork in the road because if we go to the right, we never know if the left could have left us in a better place in the end. If we took the left path, maybe we would be happy. Maybe we would be successful. Maybe if we took the left in the beginning, we would find something that we were looking for in the end, ourselves. But if we took the right path, we never know where the left led. With Mania, you have a map to the happiness. You know every turn and choice that will lead you to the end goal. But the sad truth is that fantastical map of the future is all fantasy. It's made up by you to make you feel like you have it all figured out, that you know the path to make you happy. And I wanted that more than anything in the world, and I think that we all do, just to finally find happy. And even if the devil gives us the map, we'll take it, because that's what we always wanted, just to be happy, at least. It's been 2 years and the battle with Mania has gotten worse. Over the summer, something happened, which I go into in this book, and it essentially made my life at least 100% worse. It makes it unbearable to talk with people and to have conversations. Luckily, I'm on some medication now that makes it a whole lot easier. But essentially, Mania makes your whole life into a story with a fairy tale ending, but in every story there's a villain, and fuck, the timing of this guy coming around couldn't have been more perfect. This entity that I invited into my body, into my mind, is not your avid villain. He is the perfect villain. It's a villain that instead of just attacking you and saying that you are worthless, that you have no future, that you are shit, he goes after everyone around you and says, I say anything with a heartbeat. Anyone who means anything to you, people who mean nothing to you, the whole world is his toilet to shit on, and the icing on the cake is that he does it in your voice. He makes you think that you said those awful things to that person. He makes you imagine the worst things, makes you imagine them in the worst light, in the most perverse way, in the way that will hurt me the most by hurting them the most. But it doesn't end there. The cherry on top is that for whatever reason, I always imagine what the person would say back to me, what they would say back to those horrendous thoughts, as if they could read my mind, heard what I said, and then respond to it. So it's like 2 sucker punches specially crafted for me that gets me every fucking time. And I see a person, and I say, don't do it, and then he comes out and retreats back to his cave, and then I'm left crippled on the ground saying it wasn't me. I would never. But then he whispers, you did. You thought those thoughts, didn't you? They came from your mind, didn't they? Well then, buddy, it's you. This demented and disturbed play happens only in my mind, in the cycle that never seems to end. At this point, it's been months, and he hasn't fizzled or gone away. He's ready to strike me every day or night, no matter where I am, who I'm with. He's always with me, ready to make me feel like shit. Fucking sucks. Fucking sucks. Dealing with this shit constantly every day. Luckily, medication helps. The only real peace is when you're alone and he forces you into isolation because there's no one around. So really, he's not going to attack you because, you already feel like shit about yourself. Now I can ask the universe or God why he has put this evil on me, but the answer is I did it to myself. I smoked way too much weed, I destroyed my brain, and it's just bad all around. I have bipolar disorder, and smoking weed with bipolar disorder is not recommended, and this is why. And so, even though I cannot predict the consequences happening to the scale, here he is, and so am I, and so am I. And since I'm here, I have no other choice but to fight every fucking day to keep that smile on my face, to fight every fucking day while he attacks me from the inside, tearing me to shreds with every fiber in his body. His only mission is to make my life miserable and unbearable until I put the barrel in my mouth and we both go together. Fun times. And to be honest, the idea has come up a few times. I found myself saying, I can deal with this for definitely a few years, but for my whole life, I have no idea if I can make it that far. It's like too intense. But then I remember that life has prepared me for this moment, for this seemingly long fight. Since birth, I've had food allergies. Since sophomore year of high school, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and that messed up my routine. I had to take medications. I had to follow certain rules so it wouldn't get worse. My freshman year of college, I was dumb, and I fucked up a great relationship. And a few months later, I discovered that I had bipolar disorder, and with that came manic episodes, new medication, and all of this. And then, of course, the demon coming. I just call it demon. It sounds very dark and disturbing, but it kind of is. And that's like the best word for it. It's like being possessed, and it's not fun. So even though all these events are weighing me down, even though lifelong weights are on my back, you see, there is no cure for Crohn's disease. There's no permanent treatment that rids the body of bipolar disorder. There's no shot that gets rid of allergies. There's no time machine that can fix the pain you cause to people. But to all of this, I say, and so I fight. Every fucking day. And so I fight. And to round the end of this video off, I prepared 2 poems from the book Visions, Note to Self, Concrete Chucks, and Faces. Now, in the book, you'll also find that I have like different notes that I've written to myself, different advice things that I've written to myself, different poems that I've written to myself. All of these are mostly to myself, just because I have to keep myself sane and make sure that I'm doing okay, and make sure that even if no one else can give me the advice, that I'm giving myself good advice, even if I'm not following the good advice. And that's a very key point in all of this. But I did actually thoroughly enjoy making this. It was a very cathartic experience. Finally dusting off all these old notes and old pictures that I have and putting them into something. And the book still isn't completed. I still didn't get to print out everything, but there's some dark stuff and some depressing stuff, and I think some light stuff as well. So that's why it's called Visions. It's because it's a look from the past and a look into the future. It's visions into the past and into the future. It's also kind of a play on mania, because when I was manic, I thought that I could see the future, and I know exactly where I was going to end up, and it's a whole other story. But, you know, you got to make light of your demons, or else they're going to kill you. (12/08/17). I fight with this pain, with this disease, this demon every day. These weights that weigh me down will never go away, and I'm glad that they're here to stay, because this dude Jay, he's okay. I don't believe it. He views these weights as an achievement. He thinks that he can make it to the end of the race with a smile on his face. Jesus. He's walking with concrete shoes, fucked up tubes, and a demon that fucks him up the ass with no lube. How does he keep pace with everyone else in this lifelong race? Doesn't he know he's bound to lose? Hang up your shoes and deal with it like you should, with booze. Stop by the bar, take a bar, light a bowl or a bong. Try to dull the body and brain so when the bull hits and then shits on your lawn, you won't feel it for so long. Or just end it with a click. So long. Why do you continue to go on? I don't understand why you can still go to school or cool with your compadres. I mean, come on. You want to know why? It's because I'm just strong. Bullshit, you bitch. I know you want to end it all. All you have to do is pull the trigger, you nigger. Why wait for the disease and demon to grow bigger? Why doesn't he face the facts that these diseases should not be shot to the breezes? That he should be cryogenically freezes till they can fix the sickness that is more than sniffling and sneezes? Just how many more seasons, how many more semesters do you think you have left? You know, even though you're medicated, this demon still waits with fire breath that burns through your heart, and soon he'll bust out of your chest. And you know what's next? True death. Losing all you have built up with friends and family, all that gets swept. You get locked in the basement, and all you will do is lament about how you got shot into this world with a life that's a mess. You think that these things are sent from heaven above, well then boy, you're beyond blessed. Your whole body is a car wreck, and you can still sit in that chair and act like you don't care. Come here. I'll grab you by the hair and scream in your ear till all the air comes out of my lungs. Do the right thing. Take the gun. You won't finish number 1, so why even try? But guess what? If I do win, even with these concrete shoes I can fly. I can fight through the day and the night and not die. Then I'm bound for greatness, and you know why? Because if it was easy, then when I tripped on a pebble, I would just sit there and cry. Say, God, why have you made it so hard for me? And that person's a bitch, but from me not a tear you'll see. You see, I can break through concrete walls with my balls, while carrying the weights on my hands and dragging them with chains on my feet. I'll crawl if I have to. I will make you see that these ailments of the mind and body have nothing on me. You may never see the back of my feet, but that does not mean that I will be defeat. I will fight and grit my teeth. With every cell in my body, I will vanquish he who resides in the darkest corner of me. Watch and see. My inner flame will burn so bright that from the other side of the universe you will see and say, what the fuck is that? Who the fuck is he? How is he keeping pace with those concrete feet? Well shit, if he can do it and smile, then so can me, or I. I will not die till my body decides it's time to. I will use all the time I have in me till I'm breezing through, at a pace that's same as you. Through the darkest night my light will shine through, and that's why I fight, because really, there's nothing else to do. Well, then I guess I'll fight too. And so I fight right alongside of you. Alright, man. You do you with your concrete Converse Chuck Taylor shoes, custom fit for the worst of it, but built to make the best of you. Good luck. Nice chucks, and I'll see you at the finish line soon. Thank you, my dude. (11/24/17) Faces. So you find yourself here again, my friend, on the search for originality within, not really feeling like a true artist, trying to find your own voice with a pen is the hardest. But man, give yourself a break, you ain't retarded. When it comes to art, yeah, you can try harder, but just because you overwrite does not mean you steal and have nothing to offer. Use whatever you can for inspiration, so you can become a good author. Come off you. Hold yourself back. You making your skin more black. The pen in your hand shouldn't be a stab in the back. Just because the skills you lack don't come in life starter pack doesn't mean that you should turn back. Nah, push forward and start paving your own track. No matter how many lefts you left behind and rights you've overwritten, doesn't mean that you ain't the shit, man. Doesn't mean that on that pen you ain't got a grip, man. Doesn't mean that your ship will sink, man. Still sail with pen sails on the ink seas. Your leg is wooden filled with lead, but don't let that weigh you down. With that leg you can still walk. You can still lead. Now it seems like you just pirate shit and recycle it doesn't mean that it's not original and that you're not good. It's just the fact that you're moving like a snail would. It's not a race, but last place is no good. And yo man, you ain't in last. You're just busting your own ass for not performing well in your figure and form class. But if you figure that before class you practice drawing those forms not so fast, just slow down and relax. Use your eyes to lock down the lines and watch close as time pass. Improvements come as you continue to bust your ass. The abstract forms into assembled fruition. Make the end goal your absolute mission. Pick away those precious emeralds with a pencil. I know it's easy now, but there won't always be a stencil. Learn to make the designs on paper, not only in your mental. Write this shit down with your same pick pencil. You can do better and branch out in different directions. You can be the illest illustrator and dopest designer if you do and not try, just like Yoda mentioned. You are not fixed in one facet, so face it. The face you're drawing might be shit, but that ain't its final phase. This isn't its final face. So round the lips, make that face lift. And just because you don't ace your shit doesn't mean that you should fold and call it quits, because behind all those faulty faces is a fact of life, and this is it. Practice and persistence make the poor and potential rich. You as an artist should use more paper than when you take a shit, and still not give a shit when a critic faces your final face and your final crit and says, "Is this it? Bitch, this face is God's gift to your eyes. If you think it's bullshit, then I direct you to the bull's dick swinging between my thighs. The decades of drafts gave me a divine drive to make my final face with a 2B and 2 bold lines. Fuck you, my face is fine. The faults in my face are just like zits. I only focus on them and not the positives. Thinking of only the black heads with my black head, not looking at all the good instead. That chin is tough, those eyes are bright, that nose might be big, but that afro is out of sight. Behind the face and under the fro remains something that's been with you since the get-go, and it gets better as the days go, as the ink flows and the brush stroke. It's always been picking up notes that allows you to grow, building a basis for your faces to emote, helping you face the facts that if you push yourself in the pursuit of finding purpose in those puffed up pores, then you'll never mess up a stroke and finally come face to face with a face that's finally yours. Sincerely yours, Jay. Hold the applause. Your face ain't finished. Get back in the studio and draw.